Hello everybody, welcome back to another video on the channel of Mr. Footballer Loons, and today I'm doing Game Week 13 predictions of the Premier League, and I'm going to be starting off on the 25th of November. It's Manchester City versus Liverpool. It's at the Etihad Stadium. Now, Manchester City's last game, they faced Chelsea where they drew at 4-4. What an 8-game thriller it was. It was end-to-end. Fantastic performance by Manchester City. They're going against Liverpool, and you know what? Liverpool's got a chance at this one. If Chelsea can manage to get a point against Manchester City and perform well, then I feel like Liverpool can, because Liverpool didn't just win against Brentford, who, can I say, had a great run of fixtures before they faced Liverpool. They thrashed Brentford 3-0. They played very well. Mohamed Salah, 2 goals, absolutely fantastic. Linking up really well with Darwin Núñez. And overall, this is going to be a hard one to predict, because Man City in recent times haven't been winning every game like they were last season. There've been a few games here and there where they've dropped points, like against Chelsea. Like that time they lost a couple in a row. And I think it's time to say it's gonna happen again. Liverpool are fighting for the title. So I feel like if Chelsea can do it, and Man City are slowly, losing a few points here and there, I feel like it's Liverpool's chance to get something in this game. So that's why I'm going for a 2-2 draw in this game. Possibly the biggest game of the game week. Moving on to the next game, it's Sheffield United at Bramall Lane facing AFC Bournemouth. And you know what? Sheffield United, their last game, I don't think they played particularly amazing. If Brighton didn't go down to 10 men, I feel like Sheffield United would have lost that game. But they're facing Bournemouth, who managed to get a 2-0 victory over Newcastle United. They absolutely destroyed Newcastle. They are fantastic. They're by far the better team. They completely deserved it. Newcastle obviously had a lot of injuries. We'll get into that later on in the video. Bournemouth played very well. Solanke, absolutely fantastic football. Working with Semenyo really well. Those two, fantastic. And overall, I feel like Bournemouth are the better side. Even with Sheffield United in the last 2 games doing okay, I still don't think I'm convinced of Sheffield United in the last 2 games, even by getting those points. So I feel like Bournemouth are going to win this. I feel like overall they have been playing better, especially after a great game against Newcastle. So I feel like they're going to continue this after the international break and win this game 2-1 against Sheffield United. Moving on to the next game, it's Nottingham Forest at the City Ground facing Brighton and Hove Albion. And Nottingham Forest lost 3-2 against West Ham United. And you know what? I feel like they could have won that game. I feel like it could have been a draw. It could have went either way. I gotta say, part of that game when Alanga and Awani just 1-2'd it, like multiple occasions, that would have been a fantastic goal. They're linking up really well. Anthony Alanga and Awani. Awani obviously got himself a goal. Nottingham Forest, I think, aren't going down. They have performed very well this season, in my opinion, better than last season. And now at home facing Brighton, who haven't got a win in the last 6 games in the Premier League, could definitely be a good chance for Nottingham Forest to get some points. But even at home, even with the great home crowd of the City Ground of Nottingham Forest, a great home record, I feel like Brighton are going to win this. Can I quickly say, Adingra is my goal of Game Week 12 because it was a fantastic run, getting past multiple players, and then he did a cheeky little 1-2 with his teammate, and it was a great finish at the end of it. Great balance, great dribbling. Another talent to add to Brighton's list. Mitoma is there. Ansu Fati, look at all those fast players that can beat a man all the time, that can, it's threatening, it's electric. That attack is electric. If all of them start, it's going to be a fantastic attack. And I just feel like there's no way this Brighton side can go another game without a win, even at Nottingham Forest ground. So I'm going 2-1 to Brighton. Moving on to the next game, it's Burnley at Turf Moor facing West Ham United. And well, Burnley are technically the worst team in the Premier League. They are obviously last. The last 5 games, they've lost them all. They have not had a great start to the season. Loads of people thought Burnley were going to do really well because they obviously finished first in the Championship. But out of the 3 promoted sides, they are doing the worst. You know what? They didn't play very well against Arsenal in their last game when they lost it 3-1. But at home against West Ham United after an international break, and the way they played against Crystal Palace, I thought was fantastic. The game before the Arsenal game, I thought they showed some really good signs, and they're unlucky to lose it 2-0. So those are some good signs, but overall, I feel like West Ham are too good. James Ward-Prowse, the set-piece king. Assist after assist. Got another assist in the last game against Nottingham Forest. Kudus, Paqueta, Jaron Bowen. I could keep on going from all the good players at West Ham United. Even with Europa League football, they're doing fantastic. And I feel like with all that quality, they can keep it up and win against Burnley. And I'm going to go for a 3-1 away win to West Ham United. I feel like Burnley would play well, but in Burnley fashion, they will concede loads of goals. I feel like it'd be quite tight, a 1-1 draw by like maybe the halftime whistle or the 60th minute. And then West Ham United will make it 3-1. And the defence will crumble. Moving on to the next game. It is at Kenworth Road. It's Luton Town versus Crystal Palace. And Luton Town just about lost 1-0 against Manchester United. The one thing Luton does is defend for their lives. So they're doing one good thing. Teams are starting to find it hard to break the Luton's defence. But that's all that they're finding hard to do. They're finding it really easy to defend against Luton Town. Luton Town need to defend as they do and also create chances as well. That's what they didn't do against Manchester United. But in this game, with the home crowd, in that imitated small little stadium, I feel like they have a chance to get something against Crystal Palace, who are this mid-table club. And you know what? I think they will. Crystal Palace, fantastic. Elise returned. Eze, can I say electric? Fantastic, won that penalty, scored the penalty, superb. But at Luton Town, I don't think they're going to get 3 points. I think Luton Town has shown a lot of fight. So I'm going for a 1-1 draw in this game. Moving on to the next one, is at St James's Park. It's Newcastle United versus Chelsea. And this is going to be a very interesting game. Newcastle United, obviously, back-to-back losses. A loss against Dortmund 2-0. A loss against Bournemouth 2-0, which I wasn't expecting. But they should have a few players returning to them. I believe Alexander Isak might be available. Bruno Guimaraes should be available after suspension. And Miguel Almiron should return from his thigh injury. So that's a few good players coming back to Newcastle United. But obviously, they've still got loads of injuries. I won't list them all because there's a lot. But at home, after the international break, Eddie Howe's a great manager. He's going to be turning things around. So I don't think Newcastle will lose at St James's Park. But Chelsea, I think, are performing fantastic. A 4-4 draw against Manchester City was absolutely fantastic. They're looking really good. So I don't see any team winning this. And the last 2 games Newcastle faced against Chelsea was in a friendly tournament. They drew at 1-1. And the last game of last season where they drew at 1-1. So I'm going into this game thinking it's going to be a 1-1 draw. Moving on to the next game, it's Brentford at the GTEC Stadium facing Arsenal. And you know what? Arsenal, a great 3-1 win overall. And Brentford have looked good. They have looked very good. But they lost at 3-0 against Liverpool. And they're facing Arsenal, which doesn't want to drop more points. They want to continue this. And even at home, Brentford, I am going to go for a loss. I think I'll let Arsenal just about win this 1-0. Moving on to the next game. It's on the 26th of November. It's Tottenham Hotspur at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium facing Aston Villa. And Tottenham in the last 2 games before the international break, they lost them both. Losing 4-1 to Chelsea, losing 2-1 to Wolves. And in that Wolves game, they played well. But for some reason, they couldn't find all the goals. They missed James Maddison, that creative player, and they're going to miss him again against Aston Villa. And on the other hand, Aston Villa are on immaculate form when it comes to home form. The last 13 games they've won at home, but this is away. And they're facing a hard Tottenham Hotspur, which is wanting to recover. But they do have a few players still out because of injury, like James Maddison, and a couple of suspensions still, I believe. So it's not going to be the really good Tottenham Hotspur that we saw. But I feel like because Aston Villa isn't at home, they're not going to perform as good. But there's been a lot of high-scoring games recently, and I feel like this will turn out to be a draw. Both teams, in my opinion, are quite equal. I cannot split them. So I'm going for a high-scoring 3-3 draw in this game. Moving on to the next game, it's Everton at Goodison Park facing Manchester United. And obviously the big news for Everton, they've been deducted 10 points, putting them straight back in to that relegation tussle. But going past that, their form has actually been pretty decent. They won 3-2 away against Crystal Palace, which in my opinion is very good. And overall, they have been improving quite a bit. Facing Manchester United, which somehow has good form, but it doesn't feel like it because they haven't been playing fantastic. And on the last game against Luton Town, I would say it's more convincing than the previous games they've had because they actually dominated that game against Luton Town. They found it hard to break the Luton Town defence, but the only bad thing is the clinicality is absolutely terrible. They're not clinical enough in front of goal. They had to leave it up to their defender, Lindelof, to score the goal in that game. A 1-0 victory over Luton Town. And I feel like it's going to be low scoring again. Everton, I feel like the head's going to be down because of all this deducted 10 points. But I don't think it's going to completely change their performance, especially with the home crowd. I am tempted to go for a draw, But somehow, in Manchester United fashion, they will be unconvincing. I feel like it'd be a really close game, an end-to-end game. But like Manchester United fashion, they'll somehow manage to scrape out the win at the latter stages, winning this 1-0. Moving on to the next game, it's the 27th of November. It's Fulham facing Wolverhampton Wanderers at Craven Cottage. Good news as Raul Jimenez breaks his drought and finally gets himself a goal in his last game against Aston Villa. It was kind of a tap-in, but it's a bit of a confidence booster for Raul Jimenez. But they're at home here. They're facing Wolves, which in the last game, they got 2 huge late goals. One of them coming from Saliba, and can I say that was close to being goal of game week 12. It was a great touch and a great finish as well. It was absolutely fantastic. That was one of the best touches I've ever seen, and a great finish. And it was very, very dramatic against Tottenham Hotspur to get that 2-1 win, and Wolves have looked very good. Either way, I feel like out of these two sides, at the moment, I would say Wolves are the better side. They've been performing better. But Fulham at home against Wolves, to me, this looks like a draw. I just feel like it. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go down the middle and play it safe, and I'm going for a 1-1 draw. Now, how did I do in game week 12? Well, I got 5 points out of 20 points. That was another terrible week. 2 back-to-back terrible weeks. But to be honest, game week 12 was better than game week 11. So that puts me on overall 78 points out of 240 points. I'm hoping for a much better week this week. This will be the end of my video. Hopefully you did enjoy it. Hopefully you can like and subscribe. And always remember to turn on notifications to miss one of my fantastic YouTube videos. I'll see you next time. Toodle pip now.